Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Takuzwa, and today we'll be talking about importing and exporting in PayDay. So let's get into it. Our objectives is for you to understand employee master file imports, as well as to understand how you can import earnings and deductions into PayDay. You also need to learn the requirements and controls when importing into PayDay and be able to identify risks and best practices. So what's the value in learning importing and exporting in PayDay? Number one, it reduces manual data capture time. So by importing your earnings and deductions or your master file at once, it reduces time and creates accuracy. It also enables bulk employee onboarding and supports payroll efficiency and compliance. Overview of employee master file imports. First thing is to import employee records from Excel into PayDay using a CSV file, significantly reducing processing time. So you need to import your CSV, you import your spreadsheet in a CSV, which is comma delimited file. Then the key employee master fields includes the employee code, the name, date of birth, national ID, the pay period, rate, department, grade, bank details, the employment status, payroll type, and more. So what does the process include? It includes creating the spreadsheet as your first step. You need to populate employee data and save as a CSV. Then when you are now importing into the software, you go to utilities, then you go to where it says import from CSV, then you click on master file if you want to import a master file, or if you want to import the earnings and deductions, then you can tick on that. Then after that, you need to match fields, see that what you have imported matches the softwares so that you won't face rejections. Then after that, you finally import. Then what are the requirements? Number one, you need to make sure that there are no commas in your data fields and you've inputted the correct data formats and correct field mapping. Then after that, you save as a CSV. Failure to do so, you won't be able to import into PayDay. Then the overview of earnings and deductions. Now you are importing the earnings and deductions. You need to import recurring or once-off earnings and deductions for multiple employees using a CSV file. What are the requirements? First, you need to have the employee code, then the earnings and deductions code. For example, if you want to give employees a commission, if you want to give them bonus, then you need to know the code for bonus. You need to know the code for the earnings and deduction that you want to import. Then the type, you need also to know that the type, is it permanent or is it temporary? For example, if it's commission, is commission temporary or permanent? Then the amount that you are going to give to the employees. For example, are you going to give them a bonus of $200? Are you going to give them a bonus of 100 or 150? Then the currency. For example, you are using a geo system. Are you going to give them the USD or the Z? Then the import process is more like when you are importing the master file, you create your spreadsheet at first, then you format your employee codes correctly and make sure that you are inputting the right employee code. Otherwise, you risk giving, for example, a commission to the wrong employee who is not supposed to get a commission. Then you save your file as a CSV. Then the process, you open up your PayDay software, then you go to utilities, then from utilities, you go to import from CSV, then from that, you click on earnings and deductions, then it's going to take you to the mapping fields. Then from there, you are now importing your earnings and deductions. What are the key risks and controls we are going to start with the risks. The risk is you might do incorrect field mapping. Then by doing so, you risk yourself being the import being rejected. Also, missing data. You need to make sure that every data is there. You are not missing anything. Then always look on the import errors. For example, if you make an error, it then gives you a report as to where did you go wrong. Then you need to correct on that before you import, so that you won't be rejected. Then controls, you need to make sure that before importing, you should always do a backup before you import, and always validate your data to see if there are no errors, to see that if you have put the correct employee code, the correct earnings and deductions code, and review your import results. And what are the best practices? You should always take the backup and validate your employee data. And always make sure that you use standard templates and test the imports before leaving processing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take you to the software so that we can do just one example, so you can see how it is done. All right, now we are in our software. We are now in PayDay. So we want to import the earnings and deductions. So what you need to do, for example, you need to go to utilities. Then after going to utilities, you then scroll down to where it says import from CSV. Then you choose, do you want to import earnings and deductions? Do you want to import the master file, the tax accumulatives, peak list, or you want to import the leave days? In this case, we want to import the earnings and deductions. Then you click on import on earnings and deductions. Then after that, it's going to take you to the import folder. So when you create your CSV file, you put it into the import folder so that it will be recognized by PayDay. So in this case, I've created this and I've named it Taku template so that it becomes recognizable. So this is the template that you have created. Then you click on the template, on the folder, on the file, then you click open. So I'm just going to take you to the CSV format file first, then we do it together, then we import it together. All right. So this is the CSV file. So you see in my first column, there's the employee code. The second column, this is the code for the employees. Then the second column is the earnings and deductions code. Then the third column is type. On type, you see that it's temporary. In this case, we want to give employees We want to give employees the commission of $100 each. So what we are going to do, we put the earnings and deductions code, which is 011. So sometimes our Excel can remove the zeros. So what you need to do is to go on top of the heading where it says the ABC, then you click right click, then you scroll down, you go where it says format cells, then you go down to custom, then you put 3 zeros if there are 3 digits or 4 zeros if there are 4 digits, then you click OK. Then it restores the right format. Then you do the same on employee code. In this case, we put 4 zeros. Then you click OK. Then after that, you click on File, then Save as a CSV file. Then you click on and add as a CSV file, then click Save.
I'm sorry, Chaco, we can't see anything here. We can't see.
All right, hold on a second. Let me just reshare. All right. I hope everyone can now see. So just to move back, we've got the column for the employee code, then the earnings and deductions code, then the type, amount, and currency. So you see I've put the employee code in the first column, then the earnings and deductions code, which is for commission, in the second column. Then commission is temporary, it's not permanent, so I've put temporary. Then amount, the amount that we are going to give to the employees, then the currency, which is in USD. Then after that, you click on File, then Save As. Save As. Then you pick the import folder that you want to. Then you save as a CSV, which is comma delimited file. Then after that, we now go back to our software. All right. Now we are in the software. Then we go to utilities. Then you scroll down and you go to import from CSV. Then you go to earnings and deductions. Then we go and pick that file that we put in the import folder. Then you click open. Then after that, we match our fields to see that is the format that we used in the file. Is it the same with our fields here? For example, we started with employee code. Employee code, then our earnings and deductions code, then we've got our type, amount, and currency. Then after that, if you see to your right, say the file to be imported contains 5 columns, and we have imported 5 columns. Then you put on a skip header, then you click on OK. Then after that, you see the file that we have imported, then you click import. Then after that, you see that imported 4 and rejected 20, which means we have got an error that you have done. But if there's no error, then it's going to import everything. Then you have successfully imported your earnings and deductions. Then if you want to see where you went wrong, then it gives you a report. You then click on, do you wish to review rejected records? Then you click on yes. Then it gives you a summary of where you went wrong. Then you take that summary and go back then to the CSV and make the corrections, then import again. Then that was about our presentation. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining in. If there are any questions or contributions, this is the time.
Hi, yeah, because is there any chance of being able to do a demonstration of a master file, please?
Yes, we can do the demonstration of the master file. So I will leave this time for Nick so he can go with you through the demonstration of the master file.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Right. Hi, everyone. From what you've asked us to do is to demonstrate also importing into your master file. When you're importing into the master file, as Taku was showing you, he was showing you how to import into the earnings and deductions. And basically, like you were saying, you're simply following the format in your earnings and deductions where you picked up the employee code, and then you're picking up the earnings and deduction code, the type, the amount, and the currency in which the item is being paid. So that is the template that you need to always maintain when you're importing into your earnings and deductions. You need to maintain that format so that it is able to actually bring it in the very same fields that you would have created. But when it comes to the master file now, with the master file, it doesn't have a strict template that you use when you're importing. So when you're importing into the master file, you find that the master file is very huge, isn't it? If you look at the master file, it has 5 tabs. You've got personal, you've got payrolls, you've got status, you've got your payment as well as schemes. So when you're importing, you now need to pick the employee code as well as the field that you want to import. Do you want to import NASA numbers? Do you want to import, for instance, email addresses? Do you want to import ID numbers? So you now need to be able to tell the system exactly which field you want to do. Now let's do a very simple one. Let's say, as an example, we want to import, if we go to your status, and we want to put everybody onto the Bulawayo branch under our section. All right. So what it means is I need to create an Excel spreadsheet that has the employee code, that has the name, and that has a field called section. And then I want to put everybody on the Bulawayo branch so that now if I scroll up and down on my employees, as an example, I can see that everybody will now be in the Bulawayo branch. Currently, they are all under my section. They are all under Mutare branch. So if I am to go to my Excel, I now need to create my file, which I'm going to use. Right, I'm going to borrow from the one that Taku was using, because I think that one has the details that you want to. Sorry, guys, just hold a moment. Okay, I'm going to use this one, but this time we're not importing into the earnings and deductions anymore. So I'm just going to delete that. And then we want to import section, isn't it? So here I'm just going to create a spreadsheet in Excel that has employee code and that has section. And the section that we are going to be using is the Bulawayo branch. Now, when you're importing into PayDay, make sure that you have the correct spellings for anything that you want to bring into the payroll. For instance, if I say Bulawayo branch here, it should be exactly the same as it is in Payday. So if I come and check in my payroll, so let's check together. Sorry. You're going to find that if I come here, my Bulawayo branch, my Excel should have exactly the same as this. So that when it's now importing and putting everybody onto that particular item, it will be able to be picked up by the payroll. Okay. So in this case, I didn't put the employee name. I've just created a spreadsheet with the employee codes, and I want everybody to go onto the Bulawayo branch. So instead of going one by one changing, I'm going to use Excel to import. All right. So once I have created my Excel spreadsheet, I think Taku showed you the principles that you're supposed to use when you're importing. And the principles are that, number one, it should be a CSV file. Number two, it must not have any commas. It must not have any totals. It must not have any spaces. Okay. So this one, it looks good. I'm going to save it. So I'm going to click on File. And remember, like Taku said, we're supposed to save it as a CSV file. And where are we going to save it? We're going to save it. I'll take the long route. We're going to browse. And I'm going to save it on my C drive. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it, Nick.
Okay, thank you. And so I'm going to save it where we need to save it in your C drive, and we need to save it in your payday.net, and we save it in a file called import. That is where all our import templates must go. And once I put it in there, I'm just going to call it section import. I'm importing sections into the payroll. And remember, it's supposed to be a comma delimited file. So when you're saving, you'll find that you may have another CSV Macintosh, you have a CSV MS-DOS, you leave those ones, you simply select CSV, comma, delimited, and I'm sure he was demonstrating this, and then you can save it in your import folder, and then click on save, and that is going to be saved. Once it is saved, you then close the file. Please note, you don't import an open file. So you need to close the file, because the payroll will check, and if it is open, it will then say this is being used by another application. So make sure that the file is closed. And here, I'm now going to go back into payroll. And then for us to import now into payroll, I come to utilities. And then I come down to where it says import CSV. And here Taku showed you the first option to import into earnings and deductions. But like you asked to say, how do I then import into my master file? I can come to my master file. And then once I select my master file, I must then instruct the payroll which fields I am importing. Now, with your earnings and deductions, remember I said it has a fixed template. But when you're importing into the master file, you can pick up as many fields as you want, so long as the first field is always the employee code. So in this case, we have just two fields. So I'm going to select the file that we are going to be importing. That is section import. That's the one that we've just created, and we saved it in the import folder. So if I pick that one up, you'll find that it has employee code, and this time I'm not looking for the field for pay point. So I'm going to take that one out by double clicking, and then I select the field for section. Now these fields are in alphabetical order, so you can scroll down until you get to S. which is for your sections. And then I can pick up the section. There we are. So it's always important that when you're importing, you also read this statement, which says the file to be imported has 2 columns, and the fields that I've selected should only be 2. If you find that it has this statement saying the file that you've selected has 10 columns, yet you only want to import 2 items, it means either you've picked up the wrong file or the Excel spreadsheet is not saved properly. So you need to go back and ensure that you delete any columns that might be in there and you remove those. Right, so for me, these are the 2 columns I'm importing. So I go and click on import, and then you're going to realize I've got those 2 columns, which is your employee code and my section. And here it is just to confirm that you have aligned your columns to the fields that you have selected. And yes, so my employee code is aligned, my section is aligned. And then at the bottom here, there's where it says skip header. It means that the heading is not going to be imported. It's only going to start importing from employee 0004. And then so you can go and click on import. And so you'll see that the records rejected 13, the records imported 11. When you see rejections, it means that there are employees that have not been brought in. And if I click on OK, the system will ask me, do you wish to look at the log file to show me the rejections that have come through? And you can actually see the rejections that would have come through onto your system. Here, because of my time, I'm not going to then go into that rejection log file, but you can always have a look at it, and you can open up, it opens up in Notepad, and you can have a look. So once you have imported, you can go and check, and you can then see from your employees, if I select the first employee, if I go to status, can you see that now my employees are in the Bulawayo branch? Everybody is now on the Bulawayo branch, and you can see that those that were on Mutare, those are the rejections that we had earlier on. But these ones are the Bulawayo branches, and employees can then be put onto the Bulawayo branch. Now, what are the practical applications of importing into the master file? Now, you import into the master file, for instance, if you are changing, I know some of you may want to start emailing payslips to your employees. You can have your employees giving you the email addresses. So instead of going through putting the email addresses one by one for your employees, you can simply put it onto an Excel spreadsheet and import it into the email address. You may also get a schedule from the NASA portal with employee NASA numbers. You can also import NASA numbers. If employees are changing from one NEC to another, you can also import the new NEC that you want to bring in. So you can use this to mass update the master file, rather than going one by one, changing each field for each employee, which is time consuming. Okay, so this is how you import into the master file. And that in our intermediate and in our advanced courses, we also even show you how to import new employees. We actually have that segment where we will show you how to then, if you have, for instance, 10, 20 employees, it can be cumbersome to go through one by one, putting those employees one by one. You can also import directly into the system from Excel. But when you're importing new employees, it is not just as easy as we do other fields in the master file. There are specific templates that we use, just like when we're importing into earnings and deductions, there is a specific template. So when you're importing new employees, there is a specific template that we use, which PayDay understands. Okay. Otherwise, I think I've answered that question, and I've demonstrated into earnings and deductions and also into the master file. What I urge you to do before you start importing, you can try importing on your own, but before you start importing, make sure you take a backup, so that when you finish, sometimes when you're importing, remember, you are bringing in foreign data from another application into Payroll. If that transition doesn't work well, you need to have a fallback measure, which is your backup, where if you realize that that data that is coming didn't sit well in the database and it has corrupted your payroll, you need to make sure that you have a backup to fall back onto. So make sure that before you start any processes of importing, make sure you do a backup so that you can always reverse those issues as well. All right. Otherwise, with that, are there any other questions that you guys may have so that we can address them before we call it a day?